Hello, I'm Sarah from My Flower Cart, and today I'm going to be talking about tulips. It's tulip season, and I get asked an awful lot how to get the best vase life out of your tulips. And it's really easy. Tulips are a very easy flower. So it starts off by the stage at which you buy them. So this is a perfect specimen. It's a tulip that's still got a little bit of green on the bud. The bud's still quite tight. It's just starting to colour up, so you can get an idea of what colour it's going to be. This would be great too. I actually picked these two tulips at the same time last night. This one has just coloured up overnight, so it's a bit speedier than his friend. So either of these would be great. You know you're going to get a very good vase life from these guys because they're very fresh. Now with tulips, they do have these very thick lower leaves, and with any flower you don't want these leaves in the water. I can show you a little bit better on this one. Like that. You see, this one's going to be so low down, we're just going to take it off. You'll also find with tulips it's so important to do this because as they grow up through the soil, they often catch the soil in these great big leaves. So you might find a little bit of soil around here, so just give that a good rinse under the tap. Make sure it's super clean. I know I do talk a lot about keeping your stems clean, keeping your vases clean, but the reason is flowers don't just suck up the water, they actually use capillary action to get the water up their stem. So the capillaries are just in here, and these get blocked so easily with just a speck of dirt or a bit of bacteria, and this can just, you can have a really clean vase to begin with, but if you have any kind of green or a speck of dirt in the water, it will just clog the stems up and reduce the vase life. And you know, if you're spending your hard-earned dollars on flowers, it's an easy way to get more value out of them. So carrying on with my clean freak tips, make sure your vase is squeaky clean, and just use cool water, cold water for tulips. Unless, of course, they're in such tight buds and you want them to open, then use lukewarm. That's a really good tip to make a tulip open up. Quite rare to have to make a tulip open up, but we did have a cool start of spring, and I did actually use the lukewarm technique just to get mine going a little bit. So the perennial question, to use flower food or not to use flower food. I say with tulips, don't use flower food. Tulips have got a real quirk in their DNA in that they carry on growing after you've cut them. It's quite a charming little quirk. And if you give them flower food, it's a bit like giving them a Mars bar. So you're going to give them a big rush of energy, and it's just going to speed up their aging process, if you like. So by just giving them cool, clean water, you're just going to let nature take its course, and they will just develop naturally. I know there is an agent within some flower foods that keeps bacteria away from the water. It like sanitizes the water. So to combat that by not using flower food, just change the water every couple of days, and give the stems a little trim at the end just to open up those capillaries again. Now another thing that people often ask is how do you stop your tulips bending? I actually quite like the bendiness of tulips. I like the wildness of them, but yes, sometimes they can just go a little crazy and you might just want to reel them back in again. So there are three things that I know about, one of which I use, but I'll tell you the other two anyway and you can perhaps experiment. So the tulip stem is hollow, so when it's cut and put into water, air bubbles are created, and these air bubbles will make their way up the stem. Invariably they'll end up just below the neck of the tulip, and that will stop the water going into the head of the tulip, which causes it to droop. I mean, I have to say this is a particularly large single, so it's going to droop anyway because the flowers are top heavy, but if you're finding your flowers have just drooped all the way down, this could be a little trick you could try. So you just take a pin and you just insert the pin into the neck of the tulip, which will release the air and allow the water to back through. Another tip I've seen a florist use is to pinch the neck, which will also release the air, but I've never been able to bring myself to strangle a tulip, so I've not tried that one. But the tried and tested method that I have used, that I would recommend, which I do as soon as I've actually picked the tulips. All my tulips get bundled up and popped into a little straitjacket, or swaddled like a baby, like this. So they're nice and straight. I just secure it with an elastic band or a bit of tape, pop it in some fresh water in a cool place for 2 hours, and you will find that the stems will straighten up quite nicely, and then you can just rearrange them again and probably get another couple of days out of them, of a bit more straight, bit more of a straight arrangement. So yeah, that's a tried and tested method that I would really recommend. And also vase vase shape helps. This is a really good vase shape for tulips. So it's got quite a nice round base, but then the neck tapers in, so you have got a little bit more support. I find if you use a vase, you know, the V-shaped vases like that, the tulips will just tend to just flop, and there's no support for them. But yeah, they're my top tips for tulips. Just enjoy them. The season is very short, and they are extremely beautiful, very dramatic flowers. So yeah, try those tips, and if you have any of your own, please do let me know. A day without learning is a day wasted, as they say. So yeah, get in touch. If not, then I will see you next time.